Okay, so Jeff there, Ep.40 again. All right, so today, hopefully you've already seen the video where I talked about the bikes that I got or the bike and the frame that I got, and a few other things from the 2025 Portland International Raceway, or PIR swap meet. And so here it still is, because from my point of view, it's only been a few minutes. Anyway, I'm going to start tearing this thing down and talk about how I'm going to build it up, and maybe I'll even put some of the parts on it, at least to mock it up. But before I do that, why don't we take it for a quick ride, a final ride in its current configuration. All right. Well, that was fun. Okay, so I'm gonna get this up onto my nice clean, I shouldn't work on it table, because that's what we use for a picnic table when we go camping, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and because I'll buy another one if I ruin it. Well, that's nice. At least the gooseneck's not stuck. Okay. All right, so as I had previously said, this gooseneck, D for Dino, not Rampar. GT, not Rampar. Or GT owned dyno, so this is all right. But being on this bike, I don't like mismatching stuff. Sometimes a mismatch is fine because it's aftermarket parts or companies are affiliated with each other, and really, if you're building up your own BMX, you can do it however you want. I just personally, I don't like putting redline stuff on GT or vice versa. Dyno was always owned by GT. It was made by, I think it's Bob Morales, if I remember right, and he was an employee of GT, and he designed, he made a lot of their accessories and parts and things, and then he started making bikes, and so, but it was all under the GT banner, so mixing and matching those doesn't bother me nearly as much. But Rampar is a rally thing. I think Rally's an English bike company, isn't it? I don't know. With that said, I want to show you something. I'm going to finish getting those forks off, but I want to show you what I'm going to put on here for the meantime. So here are the blue Skyway mags. Skyways came on a lot of different things, and a lot of people would change out their spoke rims and put Skyways on. That is totally an acceptable thing, regardless of the make of the bike or who did it. Even the Moto Mag Mongooses, those Moto Mags were super heavy, so a lot of guys will actually take those off and put on Skyways because they're nylon, or basically plastic, and they were significantly lighter but still really strong. So a lot of guys would put those on, and so that can go on there, no problem at all. Obviously I have to clean them up a bit. They're pretty dirty. I'll clean those up. But these forks here, those are GT forks. They don't belong. These ones, I'm not sure what these are. They're just some extra forks I had. They don't look too bad. They're the right type, but they aren't right, because that date on there, if you can see it, that says 1991. So they're fine, they're okay. So in the meantime, I'm gonna put these as at least placeholders. They will do the trick. These bars, these are really cool. These are Boss bars. You see that? Look at that. Got the extra little bar in there just for coolness factor. I don't know, it probably makes them stronger too, but I've had these for a while and not really knowing what to do with them. Well, they're going on this, at least for now, until I find something I like more. Now, these are probably 90s. They could be 80s. I don't see any kind of stamp anywhere on them. But I can tell you this, they're pretty lightweight, which tells me that they're probably chromoly. And we like chromoly. So they are pinched a little bit here, but I'm going to use them anyway. I've got these blue pedals. These are definitely not old school, but they're blue. And I'm gonna, if I didn't already mention it, I'm gonna do a red, white, and blue theme on this bike. I had these handlebars out. I'm not gonna use them, so I'm not gonna talk about them. I don't know what they are, but I've got this gooseneck. It's an Anlin. That is a really nice one. Anlin made some of the other goosenecks or stems. They would stamp whoever they made it for, they'd stamp their name into it, but this is just Anlin. It's just their own name, and it's really cool. It's a little scratch on the bottom, but it's a really nice one. Another one that I haven't really figured a project to put this on. Well, here it is. So I'm gonna have, the frame is red. I'm gonna put a few blue things on it. I'm probably gonna do like white brakes and red, white, and blue, baby. So we'll see what else I come up with. I don't have everything I'm gonna do on this thing yet, but that's the direction I'm going. So since I don't have everything, I'm gonna take a pause here, and I'll get that fork the rest of the way off, and then when I come back, I'll be starting to put some stuff back onto it, and hopefully I can get all that stuff together soon, so there isn't like a, you know, eternity later for the second part of this video.
One eternity later.
Hey guys, well, naturally, like with all things that I do, I've run into a problem. So let me show you what's going on. As I'd said, I'm going to use these blue mags for the build. I got my red tires, and these are awesome. I got these from a friend named Danny, and he is very bicycle knowledgeable. I mean, he pretty much makes his living by buying and selling this stuff. But anyway, I'm going to put these on there. So you'll have the red with the red, but blue and blue, so on and so forth. I got some white brakes up front. I need to find another one for the rear, and of course the cabling. Got my bars on. I've got some blue Amy hand grips that will go on there, and so that's all coming together fine with that kind of stuff. The problem that I've been having is there's certain things, just certain weird little nuanced things about the bicycle world, that things that you would think would be just kind of a standard size, they just aren't. So even though these look like a perfect match of wheels, and they are in most respects, they are a little bit different. This one here actually is dated. Look at that. That's 2/24/81. So these are legit from 1981. This one does not have that same stamp or mark inside of it. But this one here, if you can see that, it says Tough Wheel I, meaning 1. So this one's actually an early edition. Whereas this one, it says, where did it go? It says Tough Wheel, and there's 2 I's, meaning Tough Wheel 2. Follow me there? Tough Wheel 1, Tough Wheel 2. I think they actually made them simultaneously. I always thought that the Tough Wheel 1 was basically all the ones that were made in the 70s, and then they kind of changed them up a little bit. And from then on, I don't know when the change exactly was, but I think I'm entirely wrong anyway. I think they made them at the same time. Well, I'm sure that the Tough Wheel 1s were made exclusively for a while, and then they came out with the Tough Wheel 2, but they still made them both ways. But one of the big differences, let me show you this. Look at the way this is in here. It's like the nylon right up to, you know, you got your bearing cups that are, I'm assuming, pressed in, and that's how it is. Okay, that'll be fine right there. Look at how this one is. It's got this metal flange inside of here, both sides. It says Skyway on it. Different, right? So that these are, I guess, riveted on both sides, so they're just in there. All right, here's the problem. the sprocket on this one, which is right here, and I took that off of there. It had all these little ball bearings that were inside of there and inside of here, but it's missing a part out here that would basically cover this, and it's missing the axle. And the problem is, that's not just something that's on the shelf at the bike store. I don't even know where I will be able to find that. So what I was wanting to do is actually convert that. If you look at this sprocket, is more like the common style sprocket. It just screws onto a threaded part that comes out of there, and they have that for this. I believe you can convert it, but I don't really know where to get that. Again, these are old parts from the 80s. It's not like they just have that sitting on the bike stores anymore, because everything's totally different now with the bike stores, and most bike stores don't really keep a lot of stock on older, I guess you could say, technology. Some things that are still kind of universal they keep, but stuff like that, it's just not readily available. So most likely I'm going to have to reach out to my bicycle buddies, see if any of them have any extras, or go on to the dreaded eBay where somebody will want 350 bucks just for that center piece, and I'm not going to do it. So what I'm faced with right now is a choice. Do I want to continue on and keep it with these wheels, or do I want to abandon that and go with something else? But in the meantime, until I figure that out, I think what I'm going to do is just mock everything up and get you the basic look of what I want it to look like in the end. Now, here's the one last little tidbit. I do have a new set of blue that I can get those. They are on a different bike. I intended them for a different bike, but I can get those, and they don't have that same problem. They got the more common sprocket, so I can get that and I can put them on, but they're what we would call repop, meaning more modern. They were probably made, I don't know, they might be 10-15 years old, but they're not from the 80s or 70s or even the 90s. They're probably from, 10 years ago. So I don't really want to do those. They've never been ridden on. They're literally brand new, and this is an old bike. I kind of want the stuff on it to be old and period correct, and that's just the way I like it. So anyway, let me get to it. I'll finish mocking this thing up and show you what it's essentially going to look like if I can get those last little mysteries solved. All right. All right, here we are. And there we have it. Okay, so that is the mock-up here. Let me get I'm like surrounded by landmines here, so I got to be careful where I step. So anyway, there it is back there, surrounded by landmines. But anyway, that is the mock-up. Okay, as I said before, there's a few parts and pieces missing. I changed my mind on the cranks. I had forgotten that I had a pair of white cranks. I don't even know what brand they are. They're very similar to the Redline Flights, but they're not those. They're just maybe a knockoff. I don't know, but they have the right look because they're white. The chain ring is essentially the same thing as the one that was on it, except for it's just a clean aluminum color, no coloring to it. But the power disc, as they call it, the blue part that you saw, that is actually a Tough Neck brand power disc, whatever. Anyway, so what do you think of the way it looks? I think it looks pretty cool. Found out a couple more things about it. That high seat mast, I think that was just something that somebody did to modify it. I looked down inside the tube and I could see down in there the seat post would only go so far down in there, and it was hitting something. What I think somebody did was they probably had a really badly stuck seat post. They probably cut it off just a couple inches above the regular height and then put another tube right on top of that, welded it up. But I have to say that if that is what it is, you know, I've heard of factories doing kind of weird stuff that even from the factory you can see the remnants of some weird thing that they would have normally done. But I don't think that's the case. I just think it's somebody that was probably a pretty talented welder, because that seat mast is perfectly straight. It doesn't look like it goes up and then kind of tips one way or the other off to the side or anything like that. The gusset that goes from the seat mast to the top tube, it looks like it belongs there. The welding on it is every bit as good as the gusset that's in the front. That's that part with the 2 holes in it. You can't see it from here. I'm not walking over there again. Sorry, I won't do it. Anyway, so the welding on it looks good. The gusset's straight. It doesn't look like it's cocked one way or the other. So whoever did it, they took the time to do it right and make it look as good as possible, and it made it turn into a really unique frame. The only thing I might have done differently is with that gusset from the seat mast and the top tube, I might have went ahead and drilled a couple different size holes that matched the size of the holes that are in the front gusset, and that would make it look all the more like it was supposed to be there. So I don't think that I'm going to do that. I just think that would have been cool. But the one thing, the paint on it, I really love the paint because it's really the brightest bright red, but it does have quite a few scratches in it. So I don't know that the frame is really worth doing any kind of true restoration. And if you haven't picked up on the theme, I don't like to restore everything to perfect spec and powder coat everything exactly right. It's just not what I'm into. I like things that are odd. I like things that are strange, and that fits the bill. And so I did throw some parts at it that are pretty cool that were not really earmarked for anything else. I've got that problem with the rear sprocket on the rear wheel that I got to figure out, and I don't know, it might be tougher than I think to find that. But with that said, if I do figure out what to do about the sprocket on that mag, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get that done right. If I find a way to make that one work, I'll do it. Maybe I get lucky and I find another blue mag that's about the same amount of aging to it, and it will work better. Wait, back it up, hold on. All right, so a couple things have changed. It's been probably about 2 weeks since moments ago, and the reason I'm doing this right now and changing things up is I've had a couple parts that I'm going to swap out. So I have a friend by the name of Thomas, and he knows more about mags, and he probably knows more about BMX than I'll ever know. He's extremely smart and knowledgeable about all things BMX. I mean, you know, he pointed out that on these mags, the ones that came on Schwinn's, they actually have a little S on them. Didn't even know that. So anyway, he and I did some swapping around and trading of things, and I ended up getting some mags that should work better for this bike because, as I said from your perspective a couple moments ago, the rear sprocket and all that, it was messed up. It doesn't work right. It's it just wasn't working at all. That's why I took it apart to begin with, and the bearings, well, they just kind of went everywhere. But I wanted to change it out to a more common, typical type sprocket. He happens to have a set, or had a set, that had that type of sprocket on it, and he was willing to trade because he actually has the kit to rebuild the other ones. And so no questions asked, we did a trade on those and several other things. So plus I got a couple parts in the meantime. So let me show you the ones that I got from him. Unfortunately, there is still a little bit of a problem, but let me show them to you anyway. So here is the front, there is the back. Now you may not be able to tell at this point, but they still look pretty good, and I could probably go with them, but as soon as I zoom in here, I'll show you. One of the things is whoever he had gotten these from or somewhere, let's see if I can find a good spot to show a good example. So it's not really showing up on the camera so well. You can see a little bit right there, but they actually spray painted these. They were blue. You can see by the inside that's the correct color, but they actually spray painted these, and the paint, it, to the naked eye, it almost has a turquoise look. That in itself isn't what kind of bothers me, but here, I'll show you. That paint is flaking off, and so you can see, it's just not good. So basically, these ones are not quite ready for prime time, but there's actually another issue. I could actually just deal with that, or I could spray paint them again with a little bit better spray paint, but I think what I'm gonna do is try and strip that off, and then I'll have to figure out what to do about bringing the original plastic back. There is ways to restore these. There's just methods to get the original color on these to come back rather than spray painting them. But one of the other issues is that flange that's inside here. Yes, it's got the same flange on the front and the rear, so they are a true matching set, but if you can tell, it's kind of bent in on both sides. I don't know, I'm gonna have to address that. I think that somebody cranked the inner I think that somebody cranked the inner nuts on both sides too much, and it basically compressed it in. So having said that, I don't want to use them just yet, but I think I will ultimately get them corrected and use them on this bike. In the meantime, guess what? Remember I told you a few minutes ago, I have a newer set. Now these ones here, they had a date on them that was just the month and date, but it didn't say the year. So, but these are a matching set. They're a little bit newer style. They're still Tough 2s. They're still Skyway Tough Wheels. They're not like another company that's a knockoff. So calling them Repop, I don't think is an accurate way of describing them. They're sealed bearing. These are actually superior. They're still Skyway USA. Nothing wrong with them. They're practically brand new, but they actually do have some fading to them just because they aren't brand new. They're just newer. These were not made in the 80s. They were probably made in the early 2000s. So having said that, as you can see, I've already got the tires on them. I'm just going to go with those for now, and I think that they will look fine, and I'll work on these other ones and get them up to snuff and all of that. And so on to the couple things that I got since then. Look at the seat. Somebody kind of customized the thing there, but Rally. So this is actually a correct seat for this bike, and I think that's pretty cool. And probably not the most comfortable, I guess we'll find out here, but I'm gonna get this seat on, and that's gonna be the seat. I found this at a bicycle shop that actually does do some used parts and stuff like that. They kind of cater to us old timers that like to, you know, still tinker with the old stuff. But one of the other things that I got from Thomas in our trading, it's the right forks. See the R right there on the tab? So, but as you can see, they're black. I'm thinking that I will paint these white, because with the wheels, whichever set I have, and then the frame itself, I've got lots of blue and red. I don't have a whole lot of white. I've got it on the crank arms. I've got this one brake thing here, but I still, unfortunately, Thomas didn't have any brakes. He said he had just sold a pair like that, but I need a rear brake, so I think that painting these, stripping them down and painting them white will go with the look that I'm going for. And one last thing, again, probably just a few minutes ago from your perspective, I said I was not going to, or probably not going to drill the hole in this to match that. I changed my mind. I'm going to do that. I'm going to find a hole saw that's the same size as the bigger one and kind of center it, and then I'll find another one that's the same size as the small one, and I think I'll do two, one on either side of it. So anyway, so the video is getting kind of long at this point. I've been rambling on here, so I'm going to throw these tires on and get the seat on, and I'm going to go ahead and put those forks on the black ones, even though I haven't painted them yet, just to get the thing completed and do a little show around of what it actually looks like today. And hopefully you like it, and all of that. So let's get that done, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Well, I was kind of hoping to be able to spot any kind of a stamp or a mark or a date on this thing, but on the steer tube of these forks, but I am not seeing it. Well, I don't know. I guess if I use my fingernail to clean it up, I can get it a little bit cleaner. Give me a minute. I'm going to see if I can go squirt some kind of solvent on this thing to clean it up a little bit and see if it's just underneath some grease. All right, well, I don't know. Can you see that? Look at that. That says Akisu. That's actually kind of a bonus. That's a good brand. I didn't realize that's what these were. Most everybody in the old school BMX world, they like Tange, however you say it, but I believe Akisu was also one of the good names. So bonus. So, but I went and got stupid. I just wanted to see how it might look, so I painted a leg. So I had a little bit of white spray paint, but just to kind of give you an idea, you know, the shade or whatever. Not exactly a match, but that's okay. Maybe what I'll do, well, I think that I need to kind of I think I need to clean those up a little better anyway, and I'm gonna actually strip these and you know, strip the forks and paint them properly. But I saw the white paint when I went to grab the solvent, and I couldn't help myself. So anyway, I'm gonna let this dry for a minute so I don't get it all over everything, and then I'll finish putting this back together. All right, guys, well, there we have it, the better mock-up. Let's see, let me get can I get it in there? Hey. All right, so now it's a a Mobetta mock-up. How about that? So I still got a ways to go on this. I just need to get this thing out to you. But that's the gist of what it's going to be. I got a little bit more cleaning to do. I gotta do some greasing the bearings. I don't know, those wheels, they do have a little bit of fade to them that gives it that kind of, you know, they've been around for a while look, even though I don't know if they were ever even mounted before. They don't look like it, but so we'll see if I even take the time to clean up those other ones or if I just leave these right where they're at. I got to see if Carly can help me fix that seat properly, but I'm gonna order a chain for it that's actually a white chain. I'm gonna strip down those forks and get them repainted, clean up the cranks, and maybe if necessary repaint them. And I'm not powder coating them. I'm not gonna go through all that expense. I'm just gonna spray paint it. I'm gonna see if I can find some matching red just to touch up some of the bad scratch marks that it's got here and there. But generally speaking, that's what the bike's gonna look like, and I think it looks pretty cool. Oh, and I'm gonna when I paint the cranks, if I paint the cranks, when I paint the forks, I'll go ahead and just paint up that seat post clamp and just kind of complete that look. Like I said, I still got to find another set of rear brakes for it, some brake cables, that kind of thing. But so I probably won't do another whole video on the bike, but I may include it in another video when it's all done and show you what it truly looks like. But you get the idea. It's a pretty cool thing. Now, I didn't really talk about it in this video yet, but that other frame, it turns out to be a really cool and more rare bike frame. It's my friend Thomas that I mentioned a little bit ago. He has the same exact frame. It's even the same color. He's actually stripping his down and powder coating his. I think he's going with a white color, oddly enough. And so it's a Diamondback, I think he said a Diamondback TK. So I hadn't even heard of that. I just knew, something in my gut told me that that frame had potential to be something special. That front gusset on it, normally a Diamondback from that era, it would have a gusset that has just a little diamond shape in it. That one doesn't. It has, I guess if you look at it from a certain angle, it kind of looks like a D. So, but anyway, I guess they sold them in Australia under a different name, and they sold them in the UK under a different name, but it's the same thing. So anyway, he's gonna do his in white. I'm gonna try and find some paint that's close to the same original color. If you look at the original paint on it, it actually has almost a sparkle to it. So good luck with that, right? But I'm gonna strip that one completely down and redo it. And one of the things that he gave me in our trade was another set of forks that are pretty much the exact same forks that he's putting on his. So we'll see how I go with that. They are white. I may leave them that way. But anyway, that will be an upcoming video. This is the end of this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not already, please subscribe and stay tuned. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.